All right. So let's go. For those who are not familiar with who we are, Prosper Canada was founded in 1986. We're a national charity and we're dedicated to expanding economic opportunity for Canadians living in poverty. And we do that through program and policy innovation. We are Canada's leading national champion of financial empowerment, something that we're very proud of. And we work with government, business, and community partners like yourselves, to develop and promote financial policies, programs, and resources. So we help service systems and organizations in all sectors to build proven financial empowerment approaches into their businesses in ways that are sustainable, help them achieve their goals, and to increase the financial well-being of the low-income people that they serve. If you want to learn more about us, please visit our website. And we've just got a newly revised website. So please feel free to check that out at another time. So before we begin, I would like to acknowledge that we're joining you from Toronto, which is situated upon traditional territories. The territories include the Wendat, the Anishinaabeg Nation, the Haudenosaunee Confederacy, the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation, and the Métis Nation. Toronto is in the Dish with One Spoon territory. The Dish with One Spoon is a treaty between the Anishinaabe, the Mississaugas, and the Haudenosaunee that bound them to share the territory and protect the land. Subsequent Indigenous nations and peoples, Europeans, and all newcomers have been invited into this treaty in the spirit of peace, friendship, and respect. Today, the meeting place of Toronto is still the home to many Indigenous people from across Turtle Island, and we're grateful to have the opportunity to work in this community on this territory. And I really want to encourage you can see there in the chat, to make your own acknowledgements if you're calling in from other areas across Canada. It's always great to see people share that in the chat. So my name is Jenny Bolton. I'm the manager of the Community Learning and Engagement team here at Prosper Canada, and I'm going to be your facilitator today. And again, I just want to thank my colleagues Ina Tuka and Leila Rich for providing some support today. It's always great to have some team support. As mentioned, we have a big group. So before we get started, I'd love to get to know everybody. It's always great to see where everybody's coming from. So if you could share in the chat with us, just share your name and maybe where you're from in Canada, or if you'd like, you could share the organization that you're from. So I'm going to just take a moment. Oh, and thank you for some of you sharing your acknowledgements of where you're from in terms of the treaties. Yeah, so please, let's see who we have joining us today. Okay, so the YWCA, fantastic, from Edmonton, from London, John Howard. Oh, lots of organizations that I recognize, which is wonderful. And it looks like we've got some great cross Canada representation. It looks great. Stratford, I see, Mississauga. Again, some more from Edmonton. The Working Center, I know you very well too. Wonderful. Brantford, Winkler, Manitoba. I don't know any organization there yet, so welcome. Okay. Oh, this is great. Newfoundland. Oh, I love Newfoundland. I want to go back. What have you got? Some from Calgary, some from Toronto. Thank you for sharing. I encourage you, the chat. Unfortunately, we don't get a lot of opportunity to chat with people in person anymore, but at least it kind of gives us an idea of who's in the room with us and who we're learning together with. So thank you so much for sharing all of that. All right, one of the other things I wanted to share is that we're going to be using a tool called Mentimeter today. I'm sure some of you are familiar with that, but just to give you a little bit of an introduction and some instructions on how to use Mentimeter, there's basically 3 ways that you can use it. We actually have a new way. If some of you have done some webinars with us before, we used to just share the QR code, but we've actually integrated it now into our teams. And so hopefully, if everything's working well today, you should be able to actually answer the questions directly on the screen. Or you will be able to scan the QR code with your phone and answer the questions. Or if that's not working, you can log into menti.com and use the code that you see on the slide here. Okay, so I can see some of you are already logged in because I can see on my screen that people are already answering the question. So in a moment, I'm just going to share that screen. So just give me a moment and you'll see it on the screen. It's loading there. All right, we can see it. There we go. So my first question to everybody today, and this gives us an opportunity to practice using Mentimeter, is what populations do you support in the work that you do? So again, just giving us a sense of who's joining us today. So the type of work that you do. All right. Thank you for sharing, everyone. So lots of people working with, well, wow, it's pretty much all across, right? Working with families with children, people with disabilities, Indigenous, survivors of violence. So that's, yes, if you've answered other, please share that in the chat with us. Obviously, it's difficult to capture every population or group in a survey like this, but yes, feel free to add that in the chat. Okay, wonderful. Okay, thank you for sharing that. Just checking my chat as well. Okay, wonderful. All right, I'm going to go back to my presentation. Oh, all right. So thank you so much. As I said, it's really great to sort of get a sense of who's joining us today and the populations that they serve. So let's talk about what we're going to do today. The purpose of today is to learn and practice the skills that you need to support Canadians living on a low income to access benefits. And what this starts with is understanding your role in providing this support. It's also going to include some important skills on how to start the conversation about benefits. So how do you get that conversation going in your day-to-day interactions with clients? So we're going to review some tips as well for using the Benefits Wayfinder, and then we're going to give you some time to explore using some personas. So I'm also going to give you a short overview of another tool that we have, which is the Disability Benefits Compass. It kind of goes hand in hand with the Benefits Wayfinder. In fact, they're linked, but they're also standalone tools. And then finally, I always want to provide you with additional tools and resources. So we'll provide you with some other things that we have available. So these topics, along with more details on financial literacy, financial conversations, and how to use the Benefits Wayfinder are available through one of our online courses if you're interested, and it's called the Foundations of Access to Benefits. It's an online or e-learning course, and if you've not taken this training and you're interested, we'll provide more information on that along with some of the other resources at the end of today's workshop. So we have 1.5 hours together today. We don't always go that long. It kind of depends on how many questions we have. So sit back, relax, and get ready. And again, just before we start, if there's any questions, please just add them to the chat, or if you're having any difficulty, just place it in the chat and we'll try to support you as best we can. All right, so here's what you can expect from today's workshop. We're going to use a variety of different learning formats and give you a chance to engage with the content. I don't want to do all the talking today. I want to make sure that you guys get engaged and have some opportunity to explore the tool on your own. So some of the activities we'll complete together in our large group, or as I mentioned, you'll actually go off on your own. We'll give you some quiet time to explore the tool as individuals, and then we'll come back together and share what we've discovered. All right, so we'll practice using the Benefits Wayfinder, and we're going to just, think a little bit at how we're going to integrate that into the conversations that we have with clients. So there'll be opportunities to reflect on your own personal experiences with money as you do this, and the personas, the discussions, and the practice activities are really going to come to life when you're able to incorporate your own personal experiences. So because of this, we want to make sure that the session is safe, inclusive, and fun. So please really treat our time together with respect. Any other questions before we move on? Okay, I don't see anything there. We'll keep going. All right, so one more important thing before we move on, and that is, let's approach the content in today's session, knowing that the experiences, the values, and the emotions around money differ widely from person to person, right? I think you may know that already, that money can be a very sensitive topic. So please remember this as we work together today and when we work with individuals in our community or just in talking with friends and family as well. So in a moment, we're going to start by exploring your role in helping individuals you work with or support with accessing benefits that they're entitled to, but potentially not receiving yet. So first of all, I want to get you to reflect. I want you to reflect on, why does this matter? Why is this so important? Why does access to benefits support matter? And again, we're going to be using Mentimeter in just a moment, but think about why access to benefits matters, not only in our own lives, but in the lives of our clients, and not always just the obvious, right? Obviously, if we get more benefits, we get more money, but what impact does that money have? So if you have a child with a disability, you know that benefits matter, right? If you're caring for an aging parent or saving for a child's education or having difficulty just paying your bills, benefits really matter. Think about someone living on a very low income. So what impact can those benefits have on that individual or family? And we're going to do a word cloud in just a moment. I just got to advance my question here. All right. So you can go back to Mentimeter, which I'll show you in just a moment, and think about, not the most obvious, right? Money, but what impact does having more money have on a person's life and their well-being? So just give me a moment. I'll switch over to Mentimeter, and I'd love to see your responses. Oh, I'm showing the old one. Just a moment here. There we go. Hopefully we can see. Okay. Yeah, right. Less stress. Security. So great. Yeah, having predictability, having more confidence. What else have we got? Peace of mind, independence, hope. That's such an important one. All of these are important. So thank you for sharing. These are great. Housing stability, financial stability, improved quality of life, independence, survival, having a safety net, better health. That's huge, right? Ah, these are great. Okay. Keep them coming. These are great. Thank you so much for sharing. And again, it's just really sort of recognizing the impact that you have on people's lives and just helping them to obtain benefits that they may not have realized that they were eligible for can really make a difference on their day-to-day life. These are great. Thank you. Thriving. Love that word. Connection. Ease. Yeah, just more ease in our lives. All right. Wonderful. Well, thank you very, very much. These are fantastic. Again, I'm going to stop sharing for a moment, jump back to my presentation. Lots of back and forth today. So you have to just be patient with me. All right. All right. So again, I'm just going to sort of summarize some of this, and that's, highlight some of the most important aspects of access to benefits. And individuals who receive benefit navigation support are more likely to be able to access all the benefits that they're eligible for. So by increasing an individual's access to benefits, you're going to play a really key role in helping them to increase their income. And then, of course, as you've just shared with me, receiving benefits can improve an individual's financial well-being and really empower them to take control of their financial situation. Increased benefits can also improve their overall quality of life. And this is because the stressors of living in poverty, of course, have a great impact on all areas of our life. Yeah, so great. Thank you so much for sharing all of those great words and acknowledging the impact that you can have. All right, so How can people support individuals to access benefits? So let's dig in a little bit. So access to benefits is a vital part of poverty reduction. Okay, so by integrating access to benefits into existing programs, like some of the programs I'm sure that you're overseeing, so social assistance, employment, housing, healthcare, and settlement, the outcomes of these programs are going to be improved. So there's three elements to supporting individuals with accessing benefits. And the first one is to identify an individual's eligibility for benefits. So many people living on a low income are not even aware that there are benefits that they could be receiving. Others might know about the benefits, but they don't believe they're eligible. So to identify eligibility, you can just simply ask if an individual has heard about certain benefits or using the benefits Wayfinder to identify potential benefits that they're eligible for. The second step to supporting individuals is to guide them through the application process. Although the process must be led by the individual, right? So you want them to be leading it. You can help support them, and you can do this by maybe making an action plan with them, creating a to-do list for their application, just keeping them on track, maybe checking in with them with different meetings or sending an email and helping with practical needs, such as completing the applications or navigating the online tools. Printing or mailing the benefit applications can be a big help as well. And lastly, you can support an individual to access benefits by referring them to additional support as required. So just remember, you're not required to have all the answers, right? We all have certain strengths in the work that we do. So it's totally okay and really important to refer individuals to other resources if their needs go beyond your comfort level or knowledge, right? So in these cases, it's really important to have a list of trustworthy organizations and resources that you can refer people to. So for today, in this webinar, we're going to be focusing mostly on the first element, okay? And that's really about determining a participant's eligibility and getting started on their benefits application journey. So again, I'm just going to check the chat and make sure we don't have any big questions. We're doing okay. All right, looks okay. Fantastic. All right, let's get started and talk about how we can start the benefits conversation. All right, so first, let's recognize that there are many barriers facing the communities and the people that we work with and support. So many people living on a low income have also experienced some kind of financial or other trauma, which can lead to additional barriers to accessing benefits, information, and support. So we really want to take a trauma-informed approach, and this recognizes the impact that trauma can have on vulnerable individuals. And it aims to empower them by creating conditions of emotional and personal safety. So let's take a trauma-informed approach. I'm sure many of you are very familiar with this, but it's a quick review, and we'll just take a look at the 5 principles. The first principle is safety, and it's really important to create a physically and emotionally safe environment. And one way to do this is to make sure that you're having these conversations in a private area. The second principle is to support autonomy and choice. So for example, by ensuring that the individual knows that they're in control of all the decisions in the benefits process, all right? So it's, are they willing to keep moving forward with this? Is this something that they want to pursue? Making sure that they know they have the choice. The third principle is to create collaborative relationships where the individual has a significant role in how the process unfolds. So for example, the individual chooses how and when to search and apply for benefits while you provide the tools to support the action. Okay, so it's a collaborative when working together. And the next is to establish trust and boundaries. And one way that you can do this is by reassuring the individual that their information will be kept confidential. And I'll share that with you when I'm actually demonstrating the tool, because it's definitely something that comes up. Another is reminding them that they can stop the meeting or the benefits application process at any time if they choose. And finally, it's important to use a strengths and empowerment focused approach. So acknowledging and validating the participants' feelings, their experiences, their values, and the decisions is really key. Okay. So again, I'm sure many of you use this on a daily basis in the work that you do, but it's just really important to acknowledge and to think about this as we talk about how to have these conversations. All right, so keeping that trauma-informed approach in mind, let's look at how we can start a benefits conversation. The first step is to determine whether a benefits conversation would be useful for a person. And we have three screening questions that can really help. The three questions are, have you filed your taxes for the past 5 years? Have you recently experienced or are you coming up to a big life change? And this might include something like having a child, retiring, or maybe you're, losing your job. And third, do you have enough money to make ends meet? So a person's responses to these screening questions will indicate whether using the benefits wayfinder and exploring benefits would be worthwhile. So for example, if they reply to question 1 that they've not filed their taxes, there may be benefits that they're missing out on and might not even know about. For question 2, if they are coming up to a big life change, for example, having a baby, there are going to be benefits that they're probably eligible for. And finally, question 3, if they don't have enough money to make ends meet, there may be benefits that they qualify for and could help them to increase their income. On the other hand, if they have filed their taxes and they're not experiencing a life change and they have enough money to make ends meet, it's much less likely that they're going to find helpful benefits while using this tool. But that doesn't mean it's not relevant. In this case, you can always do sort of a benefits checkup just to make sure that they're receiving everything that they can. All right, so we're going to next talk a bit about how we can use these screening questions in different conversations. So while every situation and every individual is unique, we do find that there's 3 common conversation pathways where you can introduce and discuss access to benefits. Okay, so if you're a frontline worker, the first one generally takes place on the job. So you're in a public situation and you're having a discussion with a community member who's seeking support because they're in a financially vulnerable situation. So let's think about an example. Maybe you're working at a food bank and you're doing some screening questions, or you're providing formula to a new mom, or maybe giving some employment and training supports to a newcomer. So you're in conversation with someone, but the person didn't become prepared for a financial conversation. They're there for a different reason. Or it could simply be a conversation that you're having at a coffee shop with a friend or family member who's struggling financially as well. So don't forget, this applies not only to your work, but it can apply to your own personal life as well. The second takes place during a private one-on-one scheduled money conversation. And the third takes place in a related field. So maybe you're in healthcare, or you're speaking with a person who's incarcerated, or you're providing housing services. So you're in a private one-on-one meeting, but the person didn't come with the purpose of discussing money. Okay, so there's these 3 different situations. Again, I'd love to see sort of who we're working here with today, and I'm going to do another quick poll. I'm going to go back to Mentimeter. And I'd love for you to share where you think you would most likely find yourself when interacting with community members. So let me switch it up here and we'll get a sense of. Takes a little bit to load. There we go. So which pathway do you think you would be most likely to find yourself in? Okay. See the responses rolling in. Thank you. Okay, so lots of people in a public situation or the one-on-one seems to be the most frequent. Okay, great. Wonderful. Yeah, so this, as you know, this kind of helps you identify. So as we move forward in the conversation, you can kind of pay most attention to the situations that apply most directly to you. Great. So thank you for sharing. That just gives me a little bit of an idea of the types of situations that you're working in. Back to my presentation again. So let's talk about pathway 1. Pathway 1, you're in a public situation or on the job, a public place, so you need to be really sensitive and respect a person's privacy. So in this kind of a situation, you're going to want to ask closed questions and leave more detailed discussions to a one-on-one meeting. So you might want to open the conversation with, we could explore benefits that you might be eligible for. Would you be interested? And then if willing, you could ask those screening questions. I'll remind you what they are. The first one is, have you filed your taxes for the past 5 years? Have you recently experienced or are you coming up to a big life change? Or 3, do you have enough money to make ends meet? Okay, so if appropriate, you can then ask if they'd be interested in exploring benefits. And then if willing, you might want to set up a more private one-on-one meeting. Okay, so that's pathway 1. Because you're already in a situation where you're talking about finances, so we're talking about pathway 2 here, you're in a private one-on-one meeting. So you can ask the screening questions as part of the broader financial conversation. And then you can consider more open-ended questions. You can ask questions about improving their financial situation or increasing their income. And again, if the participant identifies a need for increased income, you can ask them if they're interested in checking for benefits. And then you can proceed based on the participant's interests. So here you're already having that money conversation. It's kind of a little easier to get into, and you can just proceed versus having to set up another conversation or time to meet. In pathway 3, okay, you're in a related field, right? So maybe you're in settlement or you're in healthcare, but you're in a one-on-one meeting, so it's private. Here, you can ask open-ended questions to identify the individual stressors. You can see if there's a need for increased income, and you can share that there may be benefits that can help. And again, if interested, you can ask those screening questions, right? Have you filed your taxes? Have you recently experienced or coming up to a big life change? Do you have enough money to make ends meet? If it makes sense to explore further, then you can set up a dedicated meeting to explore. Okay, so those are the 3 situations that you might find yourself in. And for all pathways, there's just a few different tips that I want to review. The first one is really make sure that you set realistic expectations. You want to avoid saying things like, you will probably be eligible for, because you don't want to raise their expectations, right? We really want to just make sure that we're not setting them up and getting them too hopeful until we've been able to really assess their situation. So to be productive, the process must be led by the individual, and you should only start the conversation about access to benefits if the individual indicates that they're interested. Again, you're really wanting to follow their lead and their preferences. Okay. And finally, remember that your role is to support the process, right? So you're never going to be directly advising or pressuring an individual to consider benefits. Okay. You really want to take guidance from your client or from the individual that you're serving. All right. So for those of you who may have taken our online course or maybe participated in a recent public demo of our Benefits Wayfinder, you might already be familiar with the tool. But we're going to take some time right now to demonstrate the different ways that it can be used in money conversations. And as I mentioned, if you want further detail on it, we do have other webinars and resources and things that you can check out on our Learning Hub to dive in a little bit deeper. So let's introduce the Benefits Wayfinder. So it's a tool. We've had lots of great feedback about our Benefits Wayfinder because it's exciting in how it helps individuals to identify and apply for the benefits that they're eligible for. And it works by providing a list of personalized benefits an individual may be eligible for based on their circumstances. So users can use a particular benefits eligibility and the ID requirements, they can see their application process and more. And then they can organize all of this on a dashboard, which I'll demonstrate to you in just a moment. So those that are most likely to discover new benefits with the Benefits Wayfinder are those living on a low income, newcomers to Canada, those approaching or experiencing a major life event, those who have never filed taxes before, or those who are not receiving common starting benefits already. Okay, so that's a very quick introduction, and we're going to provide you a link to it as well so you can follow along. All right, so just in a moment, I'm going to provide a walkthrough of how to use the various features of the Benefits Wayfinder, and then you're going to have a chance to navigate through on your own after this demonstration. A video about the Benefits Wayfinder and how to navigate it is available and will be shared in the resources should you wish to use it as a reference after the workshop as well. And as we go through this demonstration, please feel free to add any questions that you may have in the chat. And if I can't get to them right away, we'll definitely save them for the Q&A that happens afterwards. So in just a moment, we're going to go look at the Benefits Wayfinder tool. I'm going to switch screens in just a moment. But before I do, there's one thing that I just want to make really clear, and that is I am not a benefit expert. I wish I was. So if there are really specific benefit questions, just know that it's okay to put them in the chat because you never know who's on the line. Somebody might actually be able to answer those specific questions. But those on the call, my team here that's supporting me, we're all really knowledgeable about the tool, but not necessarily about every individual benefit. So please be aware of that. But yeah, having said that, as I said, put it into the chat. You never know, somebody might have the answer for you. Or if you put it into the chat, it's something that we can circle back with and help you to find the answer. Okay, we do have some other more experts on our team. All right, so just give me a moment and I'm going to share the Benefits Wayfinder with you. All right, here we are. So I've got to look up a little bit in order to see the Benefits Wayfinder. So just be aware that that's what I'm doing. Here it is. This is the home page of the Benefits Wayfinder. And as you can see, when you first log in, it actually asks you what province or territory you're from. So I'm just going to select Ontario since I'm in Toronto. And this is the home page. And as you can see at the top, the banner across the top, that there are several ways to access the information. So we have starting points, we have the questionnaire, and we have browse all benefits. We're going to be focusing on the first two today. And as I mentioned, later you'll have a chance to explore them using some personas that we're going to provide. Okay, so I'm going to begin with the questionnaire. And this is what it looks like. The questionnaire has 13 questions that you can go through with a client, or you can just give them the link and they can do it on their own. But before I complete it with you, I just want to go over a few important things about the questionnaire. So remember, we talked a little bit about people's uncomfortable, like security or not sharing personal information. So what I want to really emphasize with you is that the information that somebody inputs here is not stored. Often people are very uncomfortable sharing personal information online, which is understandable. So if that's the case, if the person you're working with is really uncomfortable, then you don't have to do the questionnaire. You could do starting points or browse all benefits instead, which I'll share how to do that in a moment. The other thing about the questionnaire is you don't have to answer every question, okay? There is the ability to skip them, but just letting you know that the more questions the person answers, the more specific benefit recommendations that they'll receive, okay? So as you answer more questions, benefits are not going to be removed from your dashboard, only added, okay? The other thing you should know is that you can move back and forth between the questions on the questionnaire. So if you've made an error, it's easy to go back and change your answer. And it's also going to ask you to review all of your questions before you submit, okay? And if you're completing the questionnaire for participants who are approaching a life change, we talked a lot about that, you want to enter it as if they're already experiencing it, okay? So that will give you the most accurate suggestions. So for example, if an individual is expecting a child, you want to answer it as if the child is already born, okay? Or if someone's approaching retirement, you want to enter the income that they'll have once they're in retirement. Okay, so let's do the questionnaire together. I'm just going to sort of answer these questions randomly. I don't have any specific way, but we'll answer it as if we're meeting with someone. So, are you up to date on filing your taxes? We're going to answer no. We're going to be asked what the age range is. So again, I'm just going to be quite random today. What is your citizenship or immigration status? So I'm going to say permanent or legal resident. Are you working? Where does your income come from? Again, you can check all that apply. So let's say I'm looking for work because I lost my job and I'm still a student. I think we had quite young. All right, so we'll go to next. how much money does everyone in your household together make in 1 year? So this is not just on the individual, but within the household. Okay. How many people live in your home? So I'm kind of thinking this might be a student living with some parents. Do you care for any children under 18 years of age? Where do you live? They're renting, pregnant or expecting a child. I'm going to say no. Length of stay in Canada since age 18. Are you, your parent, or your spouse a Canadian veteran? Do you have a parent or spouse who had lived in Canada and passed away? And there we go. And then I get to go through all of them and I can edit them if I think I've made a mistake or I've missed something. Okay, so you go through all of those. And once you get to the end, we're going to hit submit. And there we go. So this one is low. So again, it's really going to depend on the way I answer the questions. Sometimes the number of benefits are really high. In this case, there's been 15 that have been recommended. And I go to what's called my dashboard. Okay, so let's take a look at what happens. So on the dashboard, again, there's just a little note here that's saying these are all benefits that you could be eligible for based on how you answered the questionnaire, but you still kind of have to go through all of these to really discover a little bit more. So let's do that together. So again, these are a good starting point. And there are some sub lists on the dashboard that can help you to view the benefits you've marked as seen. Let me show you that. So here's our list, and there's some interesting ways to kind of clear up your dashboard. So if there's things that you've already seen, you can mark them as seen and it will take it off of the dashboard. You can also prioritize them. Okay, low, medium, and high. Is this one I think is really important or not? You can click if it's a benefit that you're already receiving. It will remove it from the list. You want to just outright remove it. You can do that as well. You can also see that we can sort them in general by alphabetical priority, whether or not tax filing is required, whether you need to apply for these benefits while you're filing your taxes, or if you need to file the taxes and apply to these benefits separately. So there's lots of ways to do sorting on our dashboard. The other thing, you'll note is for each one, it'll tell you whether or not it's a complex application or more simple, whether or not tax filing is required, and whether or not identification is required. Okay, so as we dig in a little bit deeper, if I click onto the benefit, you'll see not only is there a link to the actual government website, but it will share with me in a really simple and easy way all of the information that I need to know around eligibility. Of course, we try to use plain language. Again, all of this material has been taken from the government websites. We update it every 6 months, so it's usually quite accurate. All the identification that's needed for this particular benefit, and for instructions on how to apply. Okay, and again, I can tag it if I'm interested in keeping this one on my list, or I can add it to something that I'm already receiving. So there's lots of things that you can do as you're navigating through your dashboard. Okay. All right, a couple other things I want to share. So if I was working with someone on this, for example, I can save my session. And if I go to save my session, I can actually email it to the individual. You can email it to more than one, okay? And then the other thing is you can copy the URL. It could send that. So that's kind of going to save this particular dashboard so that they can refer back to it. You can also download it as a PDF if you want to share it that way, or you could print it out for someone as well, okay? So there's lots of things. And then the other thing, this is what you can note if someone's uncomfortable putting information in, is showing them that this session can be cleared. So everything gets cleared. A couple other things I'll show you here on the dashboard. I can then, if I've flagged things that I'm interested in, I'll be able to see them here. Or if I want to see all the benefits I'm already receiving, they're over here. And if I've removed something and want to put it back onto my dashboard, I can do that as well. Okay, so lots of ways to filter this information, lots of ways to capture all of this and share it with your client. And so I really encourage you to explore it. I think it's something that you really just need to play around with sometimes to get familiar with, which we'll have the opportunity to do in just a moment. How frequently is it reviewed or updated? Yes, I did mention that. I don't know if you heard. Every 6 months. So our new staff are always the lucky ones who get to kind of go through everything and update it. So it is looked at quite frequently. We do try to keep it as up to date as we can. All right. But that's a great question. All right. So now that we've learned how to start the conversation about benefits, I'm giving you a quick demo on how to navigate the tool and use the tool in different situations. It's time for you to practice. All right, I'm going to stop talking and let you do some practicing. So for this activity, you're going to practice using the Benefits Wayfinder to find benefits for people that they may be eligible for based on their personal circumstances. So we're going to use the questionnaire like I just showed you. It's a very informal activity, and we're going to use a persona and just allow you to practice in your own environment. I want to encourage you, though, if the persona that I provide for you is very different from the types of clients or people that you work with or normally serve, you're more than welcome to just kind of play around with it. It's really just an opportunity for you to get your hands on the tool and become familiar with it. So if you want to choose a sort of a different type of person to practice with, please feel free. All right, so we're going to look at this persona together, and then we're going to take some time. We'll take about, maybe 5 to 7 minutes. I'll give you a fair amount of time to play around with the tool. We have Sergio here, and he's 33 years old. He is a newcomer to Canada, a temporary resident. He lives in Fergus, Ontario. He's renting. His income is $40,000. He's working full-time as a chef, and he has not filed Canadian taxes before. So what I'm going to encourage you to do is to use this information. I'll keep it up on the screen. And then I want you to use the questionnaire to see what benefits are recommended for Sergio. Now, as you do the questionnaire, there's going to be a whole bunch of questions that we don't know about Sergio. So feel free to be creative. Again, you might want it to reflect the types of people that you work with in your community. But honestly, this is really just about getting you to become familiar with the tool and think about the types of benefits that you may be able to identify for somebody like Sergio. Okay? So on your own, you're going to search for benefits using the questionnaire. We're going to put the link to the Benefits Wayfinder in the chat. So I think Ina will, oh, it's already in there. That's fantastic. And you'll see at the top, remember, that's where you select questionnaire. So you see at the top of the slide, it's circled there. You'll go to the questionnaire and I'll show you the slide with Sergio once again. And you can just take some time and answer the questions. And then what'll happen is when we come back together, I'll have Mentimeter up again and we'll share our findings as a large group. So just think about some of the benefits that you have found for Sergio, and then you'll be able to share them in Mentimeter. So have fun. All right, it is 1:49. We will come back at, let's say, about 1:55. I will check in. And so I'll put Sergio back on our screen. And so please take some time. I'm going to turn my camera off and just give you about 5 to 6 minutes to explore using the questionnaire. Have fun. Any questions, just please reach out in the chat. Okay, if you're finished, you're more than welcome to start sharing on Mentimeter some of the benefits that you found that Sergio was eligible for using the questionnaire. And some may differ, again, depending on how you answered those questions, but we'll get a general sense of the kinds of things that you discovered. Great, I'm starting to see some. Thank you. Yeah, so resettlement, Canada's Worker Benefit, the Green Shield cares, CDCP, dental care, great, lots of different things. Electricity support, awesome, good. Again, it's just about finding the opportunity to explore the tool and become familiar with how it works. That's great. Okay, you can keep it coming. I'm going to jump back to the presentation and okay. So next we're going to take a look at starting points, and we're going to be using another person, Rabia. And but first, of course, I need to show you how starting points works. So just give me a moment. Share the benefits Wayfinder once again. Okay, so starting points works a little bit differently than the questionnaire. For starting points, you can filter to narrow down some of the results for those with specific immediate needs. So if I'm looking for housing support, for example, or education costs, or I'm a newcomer. So you can, again, just be asking questions to find out if the person is part of a particular group. Are you a senior? Are you new to Canada? Or you may already know these things about the individual that you're working with. And of course, they could be part of many groups. So you may want to use multiple starting points to help them figure out which benefits they might be eligible for. And again, many are just missing out on benefits because they don't realize that they're eligible. So if you can encourage them to take a look at some of the things and explore a little bit, they may find that there are things that could help them to increase their income through access to benefits. All right. So again, let's just take a quick look. So here's some of the housing support. All right, again, there's the ability to see whether or not it's an easy or difficult application, whether or not identification is required. And again, you've got that same ability to flag some of them, whether you're interested in them or you're already receiving. And the same thing, of course, each benefit's going to show you things around eligibility, identification, and how to apply. Now, the third way that I'm not going to really get into today, but I do want to share that this is a great way to learn about benefits. We have had a lot of feedback about the tool, that this is a great way for, say, new staff to learn about different benefits. So you can just search for a particular benefit. And as you can see here on the left-hand side, I can choose which province, or if I want to look at federal, provincial, whether or not I need to tax file in order to receive it, the level of difficulty. I can tag different things. Is it around income or emergency, job loss? So lots of different things that I can tag, which will just filter things a little bit for me. So yeah, just browsing it, and then again, I can learn a little bit more about that particular benefit. Okay, so again, we're not going to explore that one today. It's pretty simple, but it's a great way to very quickly find out information about a particular benefit if you already know what it is that you're looking for. Okay. All right, let's go back to Rabia now, and you guys are going to do a little bit more work, and I'd like you to take a look at her persona. Let me share with you again. And then you're going to go back into the benefits Wayfinder, and you're going to find what kinds of benefits Rabia might be eligible for. So let me pull her description up. There she is. Okay. So here we go. She's 19. She is, I put citizen of Canada and any town Canada. So I want you to pick your province. So maybe you're from BC or Newfoundland, so it's an opportunity for you to explore the benefits that are available in your province. She is earning $23,000 per year, part-time hours as a server, and has only been eligible for filing taxes for 1 year, but did not file last year. So again, I know you're going to have to maybe, just improvise a little bit if you want to in terms of what her situation is, but it's just an opportunity for you to, again, get familiar with how to explore the benefits that are available specifically maybe in your province or specific to the client groups that you're working with. Okay, so using the Benefits Wayfinder and the Starting Points tab, which is over here, jump onto the Benefits Wayfinder, and we'll probably have a little bit less time, maybe just 3 to 4 minutes. It won't take quite as long to do this activity. And then you'll come back again and share with us what you've discovered for Rabia in our Mentimeter. So I'll turn off my camera and my microphone, and we will come back at, let's say, 2:06. So you've got about 4 minutes to explore again. All right, have fun. Okay, everyone, I hope you've had a chance to play around with starting points and explore some of the benefits that Rabia might be eligible for. So I'm going to put our Mentimeter back up. And let's see what we've discovered. Oh, it's giving me difficulty. Just a moment. All right, there we go. Can start to populate some of the things that we discovered for Rabia. And again, these might differ because some of you might have selected a different province. And that's okay. So Better Jobs Ontario, OSAP, great. Energy affordability, good. Canada Learning Bond, great. Goods and services, yeah, you can add them to the chat too. Thank you. Goods and services tax, carbon tax, ride transit, that's a good one. Good. Oh, some municipal ones, great. Yeah, that's something that you'll notice we're hoping to add. The Benefits Wayfinder tool is always evolving. We're always looking for ways to improve. In fact, one of the things that we'll be doing over the next year is actually doing sort of an audit and taking a look at it from an Indigenous perspective, engaging with some of our partners and some communities to ensure not only that we have benefits there, but also just that it's culturally sensitive and that we are, maybe meeting the needs of Indigenous communities to make sure that the tool is accessible for them. So just always looking to improve. There are, talks about having more municipal benefits on there when we work with particular cities that are interested. So you'll see that things are always changing. We're always looking for ways to improve, and we're always open to suggestions as well. If there's things that you see that need to be changed or have some new ideas for us, you can always email us, and we'll share that email address at the end of the presentation. So great. Thank you so much for sharing all of these great benefits that we may have for Rabia. I'm going to jump back to our presentation, and we're going to wrap up fairly soon. I only got a little bit more for you today. Here we go. Okay. So the other thing I want to very quickly look at today is the Disability Benefits Compass. If it's something that you want to learn more about, we're always happy to do demonstrations for organizations. So if you have a large group that you want to bring together, just letting you know that our team is more than willing to do that as well. The Disability Benefits Compass is linked to the Benefits Wayfinder, so you can access it via the Benefits Wayfinder, but it's also a standalone tool. And what you probably already know, if you've been working in this field at all, is that the disability benefits are so much more complex. So this tool was created in partnership with Plan Institute, Disability Alliance BC, and the SRDC to help improve the navigation of the key disability benefits. So essentially, it's a deeper dive into these benefits with many more tips and suggestions for how to apply for the benefits. So a couple of the key features, of course, is plain language. It was definitely designed by people living with a disability and the support staff. And within the Disability Benefits Compass, there are tips, examples, frequently asked questions and resources. And one of the things I really like is they have things like challenges that you might encounter and who to contact for help. You can also find out what to expect after you apply and the next steps to take if your application is approved or denied. And as we know with disability benefits, often people are denied the first time. So this tool can kind of help guide them through their next steps. What should they do? So the tool has three main federal benefits. So the Disability Tax Credit Certificate, the DTC, the Canada Pension Plan Disability Benefit, and the Registered Disability Savings Plan. Plus, it'll have the one provincial and territory disability assistance benefit. So the DBC can be used by caregivers, by family members, by volunteers, and organizations who provide access to benefit support. And so now I'm just going to give you a quick overview of the Disability Benefits Compass. So let me just change my screen. And here we go. Okay, hopefully we can see that. So this is the home page for the DBC, and similarly, you can select the province, okay? One of the things that you can do really quickly if you're wanting to just take a look at the key benefits, okay? So you can click the key benefits, and it'll bring you right to some of the main benefits that are available, okay? Those will be relevant to your territory or province, depending on what you selected. You can also select Help Getting Started, and this will bring you to some instructions on how to best use this website. And it also has a video with ASL captioning, and this was done by the Disability Alliance BC, and it's describing some of the main benefits. All right, and on this page, near the bottom, there's a really helpful glossary as well, okay, of all the different terms that are used on the website and some of the other helpful tools and resources like different calculators for the RDSP, etc. So there's different resources as well. So there's lots of information on this site that I really encourage you to explore. I'm going to go back to our home page. And on the home page, you'll notice that there is a link to that video directly as well, right here. So the video that I just showed you, as well as the website instructions. And again, like I mentioned earlier, one of the things that I really like are some of the resources that are on here. So these little totes, as they're called, will take you to some resources. For example, if your application's denied, okay, some of the definitions of things, all right, how to find a doctor. And we know that that can be really difficult. So how do I find a doctor in my area? Here it is there, or a nurse practitioner. They have sample letters that you can give to your doctor just to kind of make it a little bit easier and questions to ask, for example. So let's take a look now about around some of the benefits and the types of information that you will see. So if we look at the disability tax credit, for example, again, very similar to the benefits Wayfinder, it's broken down into sections, but this one has a few more sections, right? So for this benefit, for example, we have our introduction. So it's going to give you a description of the benefit. And this one has a lot more information and different frequently asked questions, for example. Okay. And then I could just keep moving on to all of the different tabs, all of the things around eligibility. Okay. Again, what to do when I apply. Okay. All of the different steps, and each one is quite detailed, and it'll take you through, asking yes or no, or I'm not sure, and then it'll kind of filter you through to the different steps that you need to take. What to do after you apply, right? Whether you're approved or denied. Okay, so if it's approved or denied, you can see we've got different situations and different information, of course, and lots of frequently asked questions. And again, all of these have been, we've worked with our partners who work in this field on a day-to-day basis, who have a really high level of expertise, and they've helped to navigate, to provide us with all of this amazing information that can help individuals through this process. And then, of course, we have some resources. So reaching out to some of these partners as they're there to help support as well. Okay. A couple of other things. We talked about the glossary. So as you see, it's a very extensive glossary of what all of these terms mean. And back to some of our resources, of course, on each of the main benefits. We have our help page if you're needing help with your application, where you can go, what organizations that you can reach out to. Okay. And if you know of an organization that should be included here, same with the Benefits Wayfinder, we have some help sections there as well. Always happy to add you to our tool. If you're an organization that provides this kind of support, we'd love to add you to the tool as well. All right, so the other couple of things I wanted just to mention, if you're helping people through this process, just know that there are other ways to refer as well. So there's some places where that you could refer them to get the support that they need. And again, just sharing the link with all of the different resources can be really helpful as well. So that's a really quick view. We do have recorded webinars on our Learning Hub to give you more in-depth information about the Disability Benefits Compass, but I just wanted to give you a quick share of that today. All right. Back to our presentation with just a few more things as we know we're running out of time. And I want to just open it up to some questions as well. Here it comes. Okay. So a couple things for both the Benefits Wayfinder and the Disability Benefits Compass, there are several ways that you can use it with community members. So again, as I mentioned, you can just use it as a resource for yourself to find out more information about some of the benefits, or some organizations, as I mentioned, included in their onboarding for staff to help them to learn about common benefits. The Benefits Wayfinder can be used with community members to explore benefits that might be available to them, or as I mentioned, maybe just a benefits checkup, right? See if they're seeing everything, if they're receiving everything that they should be. If it's a person with a disability, of course, that I cannot talk. I need some water. I'm getting tongue-tied. For someone with a disability, the Disability Benefits Compass, of course, can really help them through that application process, which can be really complicated. If you've ever done that with someone before, it's quite a process. So both tools are a really great way to just get the money conversation started, whether it's at a tax clinic or in an appointment that you've got with someone in a one-on-one situation. So if you remember those pathways that we talked about, it's just, again, they're both great tools to kind of support you in the work that you do and to get people access to the benefits that they are eligible for. So again, I'm going to just switch gears, tell you about a couple other quick resources, make sure we have a little bit of time for questions. I did highlight some of these. There are help sections. There's actually an agency portal that I don't think I actually shared that one with you today, but if you are looking for particular agencies that might be able to support you, we do have a list. There's some great tip sheets that you can take a look at, and there's also a support guide. So if you're looking for more detailed information, you can take a look at those. All of those links will be provided to you in the PowerPoint presentation that we're going to share with you. Okay. We've got some other new tools just to alert you to. One of them is specifically designed for organizations who are working with Indigenous communities around lump sum payments. That's our Braiding Mind, Body, and Spirit. There's some information on the Canada Disability Benefit you might want to take a look at. The support link guide is broken. All right, we'll fix that for you, Jenna. Thank you for letting me know. That's probably because of our new website, so it probably got moved. We've got a podcast for you to listen to. Really encourage you to take a look at our Learning Hub, where we've got lots of different webinars that you can view. We've got all kinds of information, different types of toolkits. So really encourage you to take a look at some of the things that we have to help support you in your work. All right. And so we're almost done. I'm sensitive to the fact that we only have 10 minutes left, and I always like to leave some time for any kinds of questions. So if anybody has any questions about what we shared today, feel free to also raise your hand and we can actually unmute you, or you can add your question to the chat as well. So I'm going to go take a look at the chat and see if we have any questions. All right. I'll keep waiting for the questions, but as we're doing that, I'll just give a few other last comments. And just as we wrap up for today, I just really want to quickly review that as frontline workers or people supporting community members, you really have a unique opportunity to support people with access to benefits. So remember to assess the setting that you're in, right? To sort of think a little bit about how you want to best engage with the individual, what kind of environment you're in, and consider using one of the conversation pathways to bring up the topic of benefits. And again, looking for those opportunities to ask the screening questions. And finally, again, the benefits Wayfinder could be used in different ways to identify and organize benefits that an individual might be eligible for. Similarly, the Disability Benefits Compass can be really used to help navigate someone through what can be a very complicated process. So we hope that you've learned a lot today or gained something new at least. And I want to thank you so much for attending this workshop today. I hope that you enjoyed it, and we would really love your feedback. It's really important. We're always trying to improve. We're always trying to change things. So just please take a moment to provide your feedback. We're going to supply a survey link in a moment in the chat. And yeah, we take your feedback. I mean, I noted a couple things in the chat already that that we will reflect on, and we really appreciate all of that. So thank you so much. Again, if you have any questions, keep them coming in the chat. I'll stay on here for another few minutes, and we'll answer whatever questions we can. Well, thank you. I hope everybody has a great start to the new year, and we hope to see you again. We have more webinars coming up in the next few months, so stay tuned.